Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to continue to talk about the tools that are available to us in Autodesk Inventor to modify sketch geometries. In the previous video, we talked about trim, extend, and offset because they are more commonly used in sketches as we design parts in a sketch mode. Uh, but also we have other options available to us like move, copy, rotate, split, scale, and stretch. They're not as commonly used, but it is good to know that they are available, and it's good to know what they do for us, what they can do for us, what they can be used for. So let's start with move. Let's draw a rectangle here. Let's say this is our rectangle, and I'm sure you know this, that you can select the whole rectangle and then you can hold your left mouse button and drag it around and you can move it like that. And then wherever you're moving it to, you can precisely dimension it and fully define the geometry. Or you can use the move option here. So as you click on it, the menu appears. The select is active right now because it is asking you to select the geometry to move. You can select that geometry and now you can determine a base point. Base point can be anywhere really, or you can just use a predetermined um, base point. For example, you can use this left bottom corner. You can use the origin point. Let's say we use this bottom left corner, and that's our base point now. Now I can move it around. As you can see, there's this black line that is guiding me to move the geometry around. But also notice that I have the precise input active. I can just deactivate that. In that case, I can just move it randomly. But with price input activated, I can assign coordinates. For example, I want the second rectangle to be 20 millimeter on the X and 20 millimeter on the Y coordinates. And I can just click on the screen. Now it moved it precisely to that location based on that base point that I selected. And I could have also activated the copy option. In that case, I would select the geometry, select the base point, and let's say I moved it to this location. Now it moved that geometry to this new location, but also it maintained the original rectangle. So this is the move option, and you have copy here. Let's draw another rectangle and then click OK. Again, you can select the whole thing, right click, copy, and then somewhere else on the screen, you can paste that geometry. Or you can use the shortcut. You can select the whole thing, Control C on your keyboard, and then select anywhere on the screen, and then Control V to paste that geometry. Or you can use the copy option available and the modify toolbar. You can select the geometry, you can select the base point, and now you can enter a precise input, for example, say this is 20 millimeters on the X, 20 millimeters on the Y, and click on the screen. And now that is going to create that is going to copy this geometry to the precise location that you assigned. Let's delete all of this and draw another rectangle. And now let's look at rotate. Rotate is, as it is in the name, it's just going to rotate the geometry that you created. Now the select is active, which is expecting you to select the geometry to rotate. You can select the entire rectangle, and then you can determine a precise point, which is, let's say this time it is the origin point. Now it is saying that the geometry you created, geometry that you're trying to rotate, has some constraints. It is still being edited. There are some constraints to other geometries, and would you like these constraints to be removed? What it's basically asking you is, there are some constraints here, and you're trying to do something that may conflict with those constraints. Are you okay with removing these constraints to do what you're trying to do, which is to rotate? Let's say yes. Now it is going to rotate this geometry based on that base point that I selected, which is the origin point. Or right now the angle is highlighted, which means that I can assign, for example, 45 millimeters, I can assign 235 millimeters, and I can designate a certain angle to rotate the geometry. I just hit escape to get out of that command. And let's look at scale now. Let's delete this rectangle, draw another rectangle starting from the origin point, and this time let's assign dimensions. Let's say this is 60 millimeters, this is uh, 40 millimeters. Now we have a 40 by 60 rectangle, but for some reason we want to scale it down or scale it up. So we can just click on scale, again, select the entire geometry, say that we want to select this left bottom corner as our input. Now it is giving us a different warning. I'm intentionally causing these warnings because if you run into them, so that you know why you're getting these warnings. This time we assign dimensions and we're going to scale it down, scale it up, which is going to change the dimensions. And Inventor is asking, like, you've placed some dimensions on this geometry, which may restrict the intended operation. Are you okay with relaxing these dimensions? So you say yes, and then it is also given the same warning, which is saying that there are some constraints. Are you okay with the constraints removed? Sure. And now it is scaling the geometry up and down. Now the dimensions are in parentheses, which means that these are driven dimensions. These are relaxed dimensions, like you can modify them. You can make them smaller or larger. So for example, if I go closer to the origin point, it is getting smaller, or if I go away from the larger origin point, which was my base point, it is getting larger. So I can use this to randomly scale it up and down, or I can enter a precise input. For example, I want the scale factor to be, say, 2 millimeters, and I want this to be 4 millimeters, or I want this to be 6, I mean, not millimeters, but 6 times. So now it is going to, let's say it's done. Now it was 60 millimeters. I just did an undo, and now I'm just going to do redo scale. Now it is 6 times bigger than that original rectangle we created. Now it is 360 millimeters to 240 millimeters. Now the parentheses are gone because these are not driven dimensions anymore. These are the dimensions that are assigned. So I think the only thing that it is asking us right now is the exact location of it. We can assign a constraint to this origin point. We can say it is right here. So it is now fully defined. We use scale to increase the dimensions as we like it for our design, and we use the scale. Another option here is stretch. I used it before for certain applications, but not a lot of people use it, but we'll just talk about it very briefly. Basically, stretch is, if you keep your cursor, it's going to give you a quick preview. It is going to stretch the selected geometry using specified points. So we can just select stretch and select this line here, and say we select this corner as my base point. And again, the same thing with the dimensions. You say yes with the constraints, say yes. Now it is stretching that geometry based on that base point that we selected. Now we can just kind of drag it out or inward, and we can stretch that geometry like that. Say we do it like this and say okay. Now the geometry is stretched. Now it is not defined because we actually removed constraints to be able to execute this command. Now, the only thing that we did not cover is split. For the split, you draw a circle, and now if I try to split that circle, I can't split it because there's nothing to split it with. So now I can say draw a line in between here. Now I can, I used to be able to, now right now before the split is executed, I can click on the circle and the entire circle is selected. But I can select split, and now it finds the line that cuts the circle at a certain location. So now it can split that circle into two pieces, two arcs, based on that middle line that you used to split the geometry. So these are the other tools that are available to us in the modify menu, in the sketch mode: move, copy, rotate, split, scale, stretch. And again, in the previous video, we talked about the trim, extend, and offset, which are more commonly used. And these two videos cover the modification tools in Autodesk Inventor. In the following videos, as we go into more complex geometries, we will use them frequently, and we will intentionally use different options sometimes to understand the differences between different commands. But these are the methods that we use. These are the tools we use to modify the sketch geometries on Autodesk Inventor. Thank you.